Welcome back to the Humbledad Podcast, where we have authentic conversations helping families grow in the concepts of faith, motherhood, and fatherhood, and family. And today's episode is special because we're going to be talking about something that so many families face in this day and age, I would say, and few people are really prepared for, and that's blending of family. And it's not just about moving in together, it's about healing old wounds, setting new boundaries, and building trust, unity, and love. And I couldn't think of a better guest to help us with this incredible couple behind Blended and Winnie. And we'll get to talk to them in a few moments. They're not just surviving, they're thriving and doing it with a purpose. So get ready to laugh and definitely grow. And so here we go. We're gonna go up with the intro.
The boy is dangerous.
Bad feeling about this.
You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world. Yes, sir. Hey, we're gonna welcome to the stage none other than Blended and Winning. How you guys doing?
Oh man, we're doing amazing.
Hello, we're great. Thanks for asking.
Absolutely, man. Hey, y'all smiles have to be contagious. Do most people?
We've heard something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not the first. Okay, see, so it's true then. All right, well, definitely appreciate y'all being on. Have lots of questions. I know we're not gonna get to all of them, but I'm interested. One, because we know in today's society there are a lot of families that are blended. I currently have a blended family, and wanted to kind of seek out some individuals that say that they are winning with the blending aspect. And so we're going to be talking about how to win with blended families. But before we start into that journey, can you introduce yourself to the people?
Well, my name is Joaquin Loper, and this is my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful wife, Stacy.
Hello.
And we are blended and winning.
And so are you.
That's what's up. So how did y'all meet?
Man, act right.
No, act right.
Okay.
I always tell people how I
I
feel.
already know that both people always have a different perspective. So I already know.
Yeah, most definitely.
No, I have the fun perspective to it.
Okay, bet.
I told the story about how we met. We met on the campus of University of Southern Miss in Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Yeah.
And I saw him across campus, and all I did was say, "Who the
I turned around, I'm
He
like,
turned around, he said,
woo-hoo! Hey, there it is.
No way. What? That's for real?
No, it's not.
No, we ain't be like that, bro. We ain't be like that.
That's what I'm about to say.
But no, seriously, I did see her walking across the courtyard. She was walking, returning to work, and I was running late for class. And I saw her walking, and when I saw her, I was like, man, if I ever see her again, she's going to have to tell me no.
Oh, wow.
And a couple of weeks later, visiting who was like my mom, my school mom, in the same office she happened to work in. And she walked out the door, and I asked my mother, Heather, I was like, Heather, I said, introduce me. She was like, no. She was like, no. She was like, nope. I was like, why not? She was like, she told me some things about her that she was going through and closing some chapters. And I was like, ooh, that's a lot. I said, but it ain't got nothing to do with me. I said, introduce me. And that's how it started.
Yeah, that's how it started.
That's what's up. What made you kind of push past whatever she had, considering, the society says that you shouldn't move forward on such things?
Oh, that's easy.
Hold on. What made him push back?
Well, I saw pushing
We're
past.
trying to push some up in something.
Oh, okay.
Listen,
I like okay. All right.
you weren't trying to be serious, and neither was I.
No.
Okay,
Okay.
we weren't trying to be serious initially. We were just getting to know each other and doing whatever we do. It was not supposed to get serious, and so he pushed past all of that I had going on. It was like, listen, like he said, that ain't got nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And hey, this is what I'm here for.
Okay.
Well,
I
most
like
people
the
realize,
transparency.
when you push it past some things, you don't realize it's closing you in. You don't realize you're getting trapped. I got trapped.
Golly.
Wow.
You got trapped. Okay. So with that being said, so then help me transition to how did y'all come to being blended?
I really have to say it was I think it was I would say an easy transition.
You say it was an easy transition
For us to get to know each other.
To get to know each other. Yeah.
We had fun. I challenged my wife in ways that she had not been challenged, if ever, to really be a little bit more open, a little bit more relaxed. And she challenged me in a way to be better at all times as a man. Without her knowing that, I never told her that in the beginning, but the way she challenged me to always be on point. That right there, those two things, I believe, with us is what kind of drew us. I love her drive. A grad student with kids, recently divorced, and she was making it happen. I admire that.
That's what's up. What about you, man?
And I think it was more so I had a lot of fun with Joaquin, like a lot of fun. He made me laugh like I had never laughed before, like that uncontrollably ugly laugh.
Oh, man.
Made me laugh. When we were just friends, we were just getting to know each other. We would go out with more mutual friends, just friends that I met when I got on campus and started attending school and working there. So it was more so like, okay, I'm digging this dude. He's real cool, really down to earth, and very arrogant, very arrogant. Yeah, he was very arrogant.
I had to be.
Oh God, whatever. But he was really, really sweet, very accommodating. Anything I needed, like any chores that I needed done around my house that I wouldn't ask him to do if he came over and he saw it needed to be done, he just did it.
You know why? Because they wasn't getting done.
Yeah, it wasn't done if I had anything to do with it.
And my borderline OCD just didn't sit well. I was just like, look. And she thought most people thought I was probably, you just trying to impress her. I was like, no, it was bothering me. So
That's what I was thinking.
no, it was bothering me.
Yeah. So it was really my feelings began to get involved about a year and a half after we were, getting to know each other. He always says that. I don't know why you got the big head about that.
What did he say? I didn't even hear that statement. What did he say?
It was quicker than that.
He said it was quicker than that. No, it was not.
It took me about a year and a half to come around to it.
No, it didn't. It took you longer.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it did.
I let you think that. Oh,
God. See, I'm telling you, like, it's just crazy.
I'm here for it. Listen, I'm not your counselor, okay? I'm gonna listen. Really?
No, seriously, I really was feeling Stacy, and I think what held me back from sharing my true feelings is that I knew I was moving as soon as I graduated. I knew I was moving to Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
And I really didn't know how this was going to go, and I'd never been one to really let my heart into anybody have my heart up, let my guard down the way I was with her. Yeah. And I just didn't know where it was going. But I knew I couldn't, she was somebody I always thought about, but I knew she had some things she needed to get, out of her system and out of her life. Yeah. And tell them what happened next.
And I'll say I didn't do it right. I did not do it. I didn't heal prior to us coming into our thing, our relationship, and then him asking me to marry him. I still had some baggage that I needed to unpack.
Okay.
And let me say this for everybody watching: you have to want to unpack that baggage.
Yeah.
You can't keep that baggage around for your desires and your accommodations when you
want to
ready
pick it
for
back
something.
up and
Because-
take it with you.
because a lot of times people think people in their lives for a reason. It's not they're in their lives for a reason. You keep them around for your reason.
For my own
Yeah.
satisfaction, for my own comfort, for my own, like, this has just been what it has been. So I had some things that I should have let go of, which, again, blending our family was not easy. It wasn't, because, again, you think about, and I always tell people, you think about bringing two people from two different sides of the track. It's just like bringing in a mango and a pineapple and putting it in the blender and making it blend and taste the way that you want it to taste, to have that consistency that you want it to have, for it to fit your palate in the manner that you want it to fit your palate. You have to do some things to that to make it blend and to make it win. Yeah. And we really needed to do that.
Yes.
He said the one thing that Joaquin says quite often that I wholeheartedly agree is that marriage will bring out some insecurities you never knew you had.
Never knew I had insecurities before I met her.
Well, obviously.
No.
I mean, you were arrogant.
No.
Yeah.
How you gonna know that?
He just got it all together. Like,
well,
yeah,
I did.
Okay.
So could you share one of each? What was an insecurity that you had to overcome?
I think the fear of letting my guard down to be hurt.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a insecurity, and or to really just let someone completely in.
Yeah.
That's one I always tell people. Love is like playing Russian roulette.
Okay.
It really is. Mm-hmm. You squeezing that trigger, hoping, hey, I got one more go at least.
Yeah.
Yep. And that time you squeeze the trigger and it clicks, and you're like, oh, foot, she's safe. You realize she gonna come behind and squeeze the trigger again. I ain't think she was playing. I thought I was playing Russian roulette, not you.
Yeah. That's a very good analogy. I see how y'all rock. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What about you? Give me your name again, because it keeps slipping me. What's your name again?
My name?
Yes.
Stacy.
I thought that, but I didn't want to be wrong.
It's Stacy.
Okay, Stacy. What you got?
I think my insecurity was I really needed to stop trying to please everybody else. I needed to just really find me and be who I knew God was making me, who God was calling me to be. And here's why I say that. I've always had a gift, but I was using my gift for all the wrong things.
I got you.
All the wrong things. Like the gift that I have to just draw people in to really consume them consume me and hang on to my every word. Yeah. I used that in the wrong way as I maneuvered life, as I began to have kids, as I began to have these relationships with all of these different men. And just, I used to always say, like, I don't do commitment. I don't do commitment. That was such an insecurity. That insecurity came from the way I was reared, what I saw, what I heard, from the experiences and the environment in which I grew up in, from a woman's standpoint. And it's so funny because I always knew that I would be an amazing wife.
Yeah. Unfortunately, she knew she would be an amazing wife, but she wanted commitment, but didn't want to give it.
Yeah. And I think that, because I wanted to make sure that I had what I had when I wanted it. So, yeah.
And let me say this. Mm-hmm. If you go into a marriage, male or female, thinking in that manner, you're doomed to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not about you having what you want. It's about you all making what you are going to have together tangible for the both of you.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's not about you.
Yeah. And I had to get that out of I had to lose that sense of it's me. I got to make sure I'm good.
And don't lie to yourself, because this is what marriage is going to do. Marriage is going to put you in a position to challenge everything that you have lied to yourself and others. Mm-hmm. Because everything that we went through My wife's sitting here. I literally drilled her on certain questions. What about this? I'm done. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take you at your word.
Okay, so
and vice versa.
And I was about to say, and vice versa. Yeah. We both were just all messed up in the head. We were. Yeah. I mean, we both had to understand that. Yeah, you were.
I wasn't messed up.
You were messed up in the head.
No.
You were
trying. You don't even, Miss Stacey. You don't even have to argue that point.
You said what?
You don't have to argue that point because it's evident. Like there's nobody without flaw. You feel me? You know, and I'm speaking from a person that has been considered arrogant. Okay, so I understand your position, right, Joaquin? So, but however, there are times where our flaws or what we didn't consider flaws because we think that they're strengths, when in actuality, it is a flaw. You know, so.
Don't let me get started on you.
But I wanted to back up. Because y'all were talking about fun and laughing and things of that nature, right? And so I wanted to find out a little bit about, you two. So what does laughter play, what role does laughter play in helping you bond as a blended family?
Everything. Everything for us. I'm gonna speak for my family. Everything. Because you have to be able to laugh in the midst of crying. You have to be able to find laughter when you're looking for something else and you walk into laughter. So there were times I wanted to be angry at her. There were times I wanted to walk away, and I knew God had told me to stay here, and my mentors were telling me to stay, and I would find laughter somewhere in the midst of everything that would give me that sense of peace. And I will say this to anybody. I know some people have been there. In the midst of you finding laughter, you stop laughing because you think the laughter is now weakness. And I don't want to be vulnerable again.
Okay.
But then all of a sudden you can't help but laugh.
That's good.
So sometimes, that's how the enemy will play tricks on you. And that's how the world will play tricks on you, is that, he'll take your joy from you. And now you're sulking in your pity and in your pain. And he's like, I've already given you laughter to get over it, but you keep. So now that's why it's so easy for us to tell our story and tell our testimony and laugh about it, because it was where we come from. There was no bookie in Vegas. There was no gambler that would challenge and say, if them two get married, they will make it.
Gotcha.
The house was definitely against us.
Yeah.
So what's the dynamic? So I'm sorry, go ahead, Miss Stacey. What were you about to say?
Like we weren't meant putting this marriage together was not meant to last. Like the enemy, our odds were completely against us.
Okay.
Completely against us.
Okay.
And, what was I was gonna say something to the nature of I look at it when you talk about laughter. To answer that question for me, I always, when I first wrote my book in 2017, Total Surrender, it was about finding the beauty in the brokenness.
Mm.
I came out of my healing. That's when I was able to laugh. Yeah. That's when I was truly able to be who I really was. And that let me know I'm healed from this. That does not determine who I am.
Mm.
That part of my life that I struggled with myself for so long, I don't have to deal with that anymore. That is funny to me. That is funny to me. And I look at that and I'm like, oh, you can't tell me that's who I was. That's what I did. I said. Like,
I'll be like, and when she said, you can't tell me that, I'm like, yes, I can.
He said, yes, I can. I did. I did. You did. You did that.
Yeah.
So who would y'all say is the funnier of the two?
Oh, me. I am.
He said funnier, not silly.
Well, I mean,
there's a difference.
I think I am funnier because your funny is very sarcastic. So your funny doesn't isn't funny to everybody. My funny is funny to most people.
I understand that point.
Yeah, like,
I understand that point.
so funny. People be like,
hey, Joaquin, that's a solid point. That's a solid point. Yeah, buddy.
You ever heard me say word him? I ain't having nothing to come back with.
I don't know what you're gonna say there because I can even hear your sarcasm. I get it because I am sarcastic. Like that's my thing, right? And my wife is funny in the room, period. Right? She's funny in the room, period. So I get it. So how long have y'all been married?
17 years this year.
Wow.
17 years and together actually 20 this year.
That's what's up. Congratulations.
Thank you.
For sure. And so the kids dynamic. How many do you have? Boy, girl, ages?
Yeah, our two oldest girls, 26 and 22. They were 6 and 2 when I met Stacy. And we have our boys, 15 and 12.
And we have them together.
Yes.
I have 2 together?
Yeah, we have 2 together.
I ain't having kids. I came in this thing solo. Yeah.
Solo dolo.
Solo dolo.
Exactly. See, that's what I'm talking about. It's sarcasm.
That was sarcasm.
He ain't funny.
No, that was. I'm just saying.
I know you just said
that he didn't.
He wasn't being funny though. I get it. So since we sharing, my dynamics is that I lost my first wife about 4 years ago, and I have 4 with her. And my wife Kendra, she has one that's currently 23. So the ages for our youngest, so she has one that's 23. That's our oldest, and then I have 15, about to be 16 in June, and then one that is 13, about to be 14. He'll be 14 in August, and then 11-year-old, and one that's about to be 7 on Thursday.
Wow! Congratulations, and I'm sorry for the loss.
Appreciate it. So yeah, and then year number 2 for marriage will be June 1st. So God found me somebody quickly, but
Yeah,
he'll do it. Well, since we on dynamics, I ain't gonna joke like that.
Go ahead.
No, I can say what I was gonna say.
Oh,
but yeah, I'm her 3rd husband.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
none of mine died. I mean, we just
they probably wanted to.
What'd you say? On a regular, like I didn't even listen. I hope y'all don't drink often.
We don't. I do not drink. Period.
I'm just saying because if y'all was in the tipsy zone,
no,
y'all
I'm
be
always on a high. I can never. No.
I'm just saying, because y'all are hilarious together. Without anything.
We feed off of each other.
Yeah.
And I don't
as you should. And y'all been rocking together for a minute. So
Yeah.
how did the kids first react to your relationship?
Oh, it was
horrible. That 6-year-old said, "That's my mama.
Yeah.
That's my mama."
I said, "That's all right. I don't want to be my mama right now." No, the kids were good. The kids struggled
because of the environment.
They struggle with the environment because of family, outside influences, and then even Stacy sometimes being mother bear, which I understood.
Okay.
Explain that. The mother bear. Explain that.
You explain that.
I think Joaquin felt like I was always advocating for them. I was always taking up for them. I would always come in the middle of him trying to discipline them coming in the door. He came in hot. Like when I tell you, he came in hot. Military. He grew up in a family who had really strong structure and things of that nature. So he brought that into a home of a single parent with 2 daughters.
With a family with little structure. 2
daughters. And my family did have very little structure when it came to the grandkids or the great nieces and things of that nature. My cousins were like the only male figures that my kids saw, and they always accommodated my girls, gave them whatever they wanted. It was so that's that's what he walked into, and then he came in like trying to tear all of that down so that he could,
like a wrecking ball.
yeah,
This is the thing. I
he could
disagree.
create some structure.
I disagree. I was not trying to tear anything down.
No, you weren't trying to tear it down. You were trying
Not
to
necessarily.
Yes.
yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean
But let me clarify real quick. What I mean by wrecking ball is they destroy it so that there can be rebuilding.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
So that's what I mean by that particular statement, because you have to reconstruct if there is something that's not there or there's a lack of
Yes.
there. That's what I was meaning by that.
Oh no, I
Yeah.
totally agree. To a certain extent, because my girls have always been great kids, but it was just outside influence from in-laws, my in-laws, that was just, it was damning for us, because if we took 3 steps forward, being around there would take 3 steps back, because you hear things like, that ain't your daddy, you ain't got to listen. You hear stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
And now, because you have this from other broken people.
Yeah.
Because throughout her family, I told her I noticed it being around her. There are no strong men in here because there are no husbands. And the few husbands that were there were either wrapped up in some mess or they didn't hang around the family that much. The couple husbands that were solid.
Yeah.
So the other men were just tag-ons. The women ran everything.
And he was gonna make sure that when he came into the picture, that I wasn't gonna run him. But Joaquin also has a mouth on him that
I didn't notice that.
You know how to have a mouth?
he has a
Come
mouth.
on, let her finish. Let her finish. Go ahead. Stacey, go ahead.
You have a mouth. He has a mouth on him that when he says stuff, you can say stuff around me all day long. Baby, I'm gonna need you to watch your mouth around other people. Okay?
My mom told me the same thing.
I know your heart. They don't. And they're not trying to get to know your heart.
And that's why they should hear my mouth.
And no, that is not why they should hear your
That's not correct. But I understand your perspective.
I know it's
like,
I know it's not. But sometimes when you have people trying to challenge you, especially challenge you in your own home,
Yes.
how we're trying to build, we're not doing that. And then it trickles back, misery loves company. So when it gets back and now the story has been tenfold worse than what anything could have been. Now instead of me, having a little humility, I'm buckling down.
So how did you create space for like a spiritual connection within your family? Did y'all like go to church? Did you do prayer? Anything like that? Like how did you introduce that, or was it always there?
For me, yes.
Child,
for her, I introduced it back to her. I had to reintroduce, church to her.
I was a evil child. Let me tell you. So like we would go to church together when we were started dating while we were still at Southern Miss. But Joaquin would have drill once a month.
Okay.
So I was like, great. I don't have to get up and go to church Sunday morning. He's not here. This dude would call me and would be like, hey, you and the girls up to go to church? Get up, take them kids to church. Get up, take them girls to church. So really just getting me back into the norm of they need to be in church. You need to be in church, hear the word. And even from dating, we were in church together.
Yeah. That's good.
And I think another thing that I would definitely like to share from a spiritual perspective and that connection that we have with each other is whenever we would visit a church where one of us didn't feel comfortable or didn't feel we could be fed, we would share that with each other and say, okay, we'll try something different.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that was never a time where I tried to say, well, I'm gonna choose this.
Yeah.
So you didn't let your arrogance get in the way during that particular point.
No.
That's what's
That's
up.
His face, yeah, he was good with that part. He was.
You like the sarcasm? Did you see?
Yeah.
So, but that's really good, because as I can lean upon what you all are saying, I can I remember having to do the same transition myself, where I was going to church on a regular basis. I don't know, for a long time. My previous marriage, we were married for like 14 years, knew each other 20 years together, right? And we was at this one church for 11 years, so we was well cemented in the church. and I was one of the deacons or leaders in the church and whatnot. And so was my late wife Jen, and so people knew us, right? And so I knew that when she passed, that things were going to have to be different. Like I knew that I was probably going to have to leave that church, and I began to let people know that I'm gonna have to leave, and it was like, why don't you bring her, and see how it goes. And so she came, she at least visited one time, but she did not feel the way that you would want your wife to feel in an environment, right? And so we started looking. I said, I'm open to looking. And it was supposed to be my job to find something, but I lacked, the energy, I guess, to do that. Uh, Maybe subconsciously because I was comfortable where I was, even though I was struggling going to church myself. I was going every Sunday, but I was only in the lobby because I was trying to figure out how to disconnect uh, from the church because I was so invested in this church and my kids also, right? And so what ended up happening was she's a stylist and a makeup artist, and somebody recommended a church. And my ego was like, at the time, was like, but that's not what I don't want to say yes to this because she came up with it, right? However, I had to check my ego because once I went, I'm saying when I went, I was trying to look for reasons, be like, I don't think that word is what that is. However, the Holy Spirit was like, nah, you really need to pay attention to what's going on. And now we're at that church, and in the one of the tests of what's a solid church is our kids enjoying the church.
Yes.
And so that's why I asked about that. What you wanted to say, Miss Stace?
Yeah, it was the same with us especially when we moved to Birmingham, because we'd served so long in ministry. We'd helped a pastor build a church from the ground up and serving as elders in the church and those type of things. We were like, we've got to receive for a season. And Joaquin was completely on board. Joaquin was like, Stacey, when we move, I'm not trying to get it. And I was like, I totally agree. We're going to take our time because finding a church in this new place is, it's just like finding a spouse,
It is.
And we got here, visited several churches, and but God did tell, Holy Spirit told me first that where we are currently planted, that was the church. He said, Holy Spirit was so clear, like it's going to be out of the traditional church that you have gone to. Yeah. He's like, I am really growing you all to something so much bigger that you can't see right now. And when I tell you, following Holy Spirit in that season of our life, shifted.
Unbelievable.
So it shifted. I'm sorry, finish that thought, Joaquin. You said
it shifted everything for us because we were moving to an area where we didn't have the support we used to have in Memphis. So now we only know one or two people here in the state. And the church looks totally different than anything we've ever grown up in or was used to demographically and all. But I wasn't. Holy Spirit had told her. He told me as well. But when he told me, I was like, I said, I don't know what that Holy Spirit is. Just I'm crying up and I'm like, why my face wet? And,
what?
I'm crying up and praising worship. Why my face wet? But I'm looking at all these people and I'm like, they don't look like me. They're this. And I'm like, okay, God, before I pull this trigger, let me just be sure. So visited a couple more churches and then was still going to this church for a few more weeks. And they were in the midst of transition. So they was really starting over new. So it was perfect for us to come into, be up under new leadership and for them and have a word from God in a different perspective, different angle, different manner, different demeanor. And man, when I said, I think this is what God wants us. Sarcasm? Okay, sarcasm. I said, I think this is what God wants us. Finally, I've been waiting on you. God been told me this is what we're supposed to do.
Wow.
Into it.
Wow. That's what's up. I mean, this is insane that our stories kind of align, being so distant from each other, because that is exactly what happened at our church. There was a transitioning taking place when we visited. to this this church, and the founding pastor was the reason why. I guess it was a popular church, right? And so we went because somebody had mentioned to go, not knowing that in 3 weeks was going to be his last Sunday.
Mm.
And so so the current pastor teaches totally different, but it is well seasoned.
Yeah.
And he makes sure that, I mean, whether you're a scholar as it relates to the text or you're a baby in the text, he makes sure that everybody gets fed.
Yeah.
And so that is what I end up walking into. And so I understand that the perspective that you're coming from. So that's crazy. That's why I'm like, this is crazy that there's an alignment there, you know?
Mhm.
So I wanted to ask you this question. Something, who does the cooking? And how do you navigate the different food preferences?
It's a juggle. It's a juggle. Man.
Why before you go, Miss Stacey, why are you laughing? Like I didn't ask her.
Do you so
no,
I have to ask, like, do you know a little bit about like how our life is set up? The reason you asked that question?
My head so right.
I just met you.
Okay. I ain't laughing for no reason. Go ahead, Joaquin.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
When I met my wife, her best meal to cook was rice and neck bone.
Damn.
Pop together.
And her cousin will say, "I'm tired of rice and neck bone. You come right here."
Wow.
I'm country boy from Mississippi. Man,
Yeah.
Both my grandmothers, my mom, and stuff, just making sure I always had, because of what I saw in my home, my father abuse to my mom, and the physical, mental, spiritual, psychological abuse I saw. I grew up with the mentality that I wasn't getting married.
Okay.
I'm the pimp.
Then he met me. Then he met me.
See that? Now, the more we go through this, you can see why I got a mouth on me.
He couldn't resist.
See?
That's crazy.
I'm arrogant. See that? You've been
You just have to get comfortable to let it be seen.
Yeah. You get, yeah.
Because I thought it on the last question. That was
Yeah.
Hey,
see that hat you have on? You couldn't even approach her back then.
Oh my God.
Yeah, please. Wrong venue, brother.
Go on and finish.
Okay. But I've always been, I love food. I love to eat. And I always told myself I would always be sure I could take care of myself. So cooking it comes natural to me. And I love cooking for the family. I love being the person that do for his family what I didn't see growing up. I love that my boys can see a man in the kitchen, despite the gender roles people tell you about.
Mm-hmm.
But they can see a man in the kitchen providing for his family in more than just financial way. My girls can see a man that can provide for himself and doesn't necessarily need her to do that, but I'm an addition. So I love doing it. And then, my wife, she's been a pescatarian for about
14 years.
It's 14 years already.
14 years in February. Mm-hmm.
14 years as a pescatarian. She told me that God told her, then I told her that was the conversation between her and God, because I'm eating chicken. So so when I cook, there's always like 2 meals. There's a meal for her, and there's a meal for the kids. And now the kids have to be like, well, we don't want it. Oh, you eat this. Yeah, mama gets preferences. You eat this.
So what's your favorite meal that he's cooked for you, Miss Stacey?
Oh, salmon, like a grilled or an air fried salmon with with a ginger butter honey and some jasmine rice, and now he would have to do some like fresh broccoli for me. I don't do steamed broccoli; it sweats. So we don't do any steamed vegetables. Well, I don't do any steamed vegetables; they do. But yeah, like the salmon that he cooks for me is It's so good. And then he makes that butter sauce with that ginger and honey and other seasoning and put it on that rice. And he'll do some shrimp for me like that too. Like, yes.
I think you could see it.
Yeah.
Like you described it like you was tasting it.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
trying to eat after this.
Yeah, some fried corn,
She loves
some
fried
yeast
corn.
rolls. Like, oh my gosh, yes. He cooks me a vegetable dressing
Yeah.
at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
She won't let nobody have it.
I won't let anybody eat it, and I will not let my mom try to make it for me.
Man, listen, you are stroking this dude's ego. You should.
Hey, she don't have to make that name. Well, now that I would say, I could probably say I'm gonna
It's
arrogant.
so good.
Because I know I'm good at it because of who taught me and how I was reared. I just So
That's good. But I'm just saying that that's one of the things that I think that not all women, but some women miss, that stroking their man's ego is okay.
it's it's necessary.
That's why I said it's okay.
Yeah,
You know?
it is so necessary.
Yeah, because women want it as well. Like men already know that we got to compliment women. You know, that's typically how we get them.
Yeah.
Well, may I say this? May I say that I've been I ain't gonna say arguing. I have been stating this case for years now that I believe men's egos, once we get married, are even greater than women. I said, but the what we have to give up and what we have to lay down, we need our ego stroked. Because coming out of the world of what we come out of, I'm not sure how you grew up, but coming out of the world of what I grew up, struggling with my identity in Christ, and struggling with what the world was calling me to be, and struggling with my my gift of making, I could draw women in just by making them comfortable and laugh and just being able to open up. That was my gift.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget God telling me one day, "You think they're attracted to you?" He said, "No, they're attracted to what's in you." And it humbled me. You know, going back, I prayed for this. I didn't pray for this. But I prayed for the union because I was really tired of, I was like, it's too easy out here.
He just said, no, that's what you praying for.
I sure did. I sure did. Yeah.
God knew though. God knew.
He had to.
That's why he wanted to give.
He had to.
He knew.
But anyway.
He made you just for me.
Yeah. And you keep the longer this conversation goes on, the Lord keeps like, I understand why he heard you.
Just so you know, Joaquin, there was a statement that she made previously, I think maybe like 3 questions ago, that I already picked it up, but I was going to continue to see if she was going to stay in that lane, or was that just a one-trick pony? Yeah, she been consistent. She was definitely projecting.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. At least we on the same page now.
I was not projecting.
Okay. But no, seriously, I just, even in the midst of what we went through in our marriage, almost leading to divorce, it's like even after we were coming through it, it was like she was still getting support. She was the reason we were almost in divorce. And it was like the support. And I'm like, I don't care what you're doing as a man. When you step into the arena of marriage, you have a heel to stand on that can't be, you can't take it for granted. You don't take it for granted. I don't care what happened or who did what. You have to stand on the heel that doesn't give you the praise or the accolades when things are being rough. You have to stand on your, even if that means she's the one shining. You have to know your position.
Yeah.
I don't care if she's shining because I'm holding her up.
But you want to make sure you shine, baby.
Oh, you do. Okay. You do. And she knows I don't care about that.
I stroke your ego too, though.
You do a very, very good job.
I make you feel like King Kong.
That's what they say.
That's right. Beat your chest.
I need a moment.
No.
But I promise you, if more women to just watch it and do that for their men,
Yeah.
But this is what we need.
Agreed. I mean, I think that's important. So I'm glad that y'all said that. And then the intertwining of the family. How did you all set the boundaries for how the marriage was going to go? Because I think that this is my thought process, kind of talking to some people that have been in the same situation, is that there is not a plan necessarily. We just know that we want to be married, but there's not checks and balances. There's not an agenda, if you will. There's not a protocol. There's no, if it was an organization, there's no handbook that they have presented so that individuals within the operation, such as the children, the wife and the husband, and even the outside people, can understand what's going on. So how did you all come to that? Does that make sense of a question?
Oh, it makes very much sense.
Okay.
I think the first thing I would give any advice to any married couple is to separate and cleave, just what the Bible says.
Cleave and cleave.
When we truly came to a pivotal point in our marriage where we had to get the marriage right. We had to get any voice that had a hold on us,
Any type of toxicity.
any kind of toxic, any kind of voice that had planted seeds in it, we had to get it from around us. We had to get it from around us and have fresh new voices, or just be alone.
Just let it.
And this is the thing: people don't want to be disliked. They don't want to be disliked or hated by people they think should love them, despite who they are and what they decided, and love them the way that they want to be loved. But that's just not how people operate. People only see you for who they know you to be, not for who you're trying to grow to be. And until you show them and prove to them that this is who you're going to be, they either have two reasons. They have two choices: either separate from you and just cut the relationship, or accept you. And when they accept you, it's not they're going to accept you for who you are. You're going to have to still show them how you're going to be treated.
Teach them how to treat. Yeah.
That's good. Did you want to add to that, Miss Stacy?
No, he did good.
Well, listen, that's another stroking. Be stroking. That's what.
Right. That's what I be doing.
That's what's up. Like, shout out to my wife Kendra. One of the things that she did today. I mean, I could talk about all the things she's done for a while, but just specifically today, I'm a realtor in DFW, right? If you can't tell by them, shout out to me, Glenn's Houses. If you need a realtor, holla at your boy.
Boom.
I had a closing today, and she said yesterday, she said, you want me to go with you? I said, I didn't even think about that. I was just gonna go. This is my third closing in a couple months, and she didn't go to. I didn't ask her for the last ones, and she said, I was just waiting on you to ask me, and I said, well, you want to go? And she said yes, and so I had to tell her, I said, you got to be ready because I'm also a school teacher, right? And my schedule is going to be cutting close to getting to the closing, and she was on time. Feel me?
I feel that. I feel that.
That's one, right? Second, she had a gift for my clients.
Yeah.
In a nice bag that I did not expect, and I was flabbergasted because she thought of something that I didn't, right? And third, she was fine. Like she
yeah.
She dressed up for your boy. And then we went to, she went to the closing with me and things of that nature. And then we went to lunch. And then from lunch, we just came and had a long nap.
Yeah.
Just a long nap. And that's something that I would say that was unexpected about the day before. But she made it such an enjoyable day for me. Even though it would have still been enjoyable, but the point of what she did for me was very impressive. That part of stroking the ego when she said, "I'm proud of you. I appreciate that you did this," because she's the one that pushed me to go ahead and finish getting my realtor license, because I had been in real estate since 2019, but so many things had going on in my life, that I did not try to go get it. And she said, "You need to go get it," and that was almost 2 years ago. She was like, "You just go ahead and just buckle down." I said, "But it's gonna take time because I'm not I guess I could, some of the accolades that I had already had. I had just finished my doctorate degree, right? And I'm like, I don't want to go back and have to study.
Yeah.
And so, but anyway, she was like, whatever you need the time. I'll make sure that I'm not bothering you, but the kids don't bother you. And so just saying those to wives and also husbands, help them become who it is that they're supposed to be. Right. And sometimes there may be where you have to challenge them on things as well, So transitioning, how do y'all have tough conversations?
We have them. I mean, my wife, that's one of the things that I figured out years later that I love about her, that I'm drawn to her about, is the way she challenges me. She's not afraid to challenge me. She knows even when I was afraid of certain things, and she's like, "No, you go do this." And she spoke those things and called them out into me prior to me even walking into them.
Mm.
Even now, being a speaker, I don't even like going to speak without her. My wife, she's my buffer. Sometimes when I get excited speaking, I start talking too fast and I ramble. And if I don't hear myself, she'll make a certain move or do something to catch my attention that I know. And I'll sit back and I'll be like, hey, and I'll correct myself or make a joke or something. I need that in her. She's that person that she grounds me.
Mm.
She's the one to tell me, hey, don't get too high on yourself. Like,
yeah, I seen that firsthand.
Yeah.
Miss Stacy, what about you, Miss Stacy? What would you say? So how do you have? Okay, well, he's saying that you challenge him, right? But I want to, because it's this mantra out here about women don't like to be accountable. I don't know if have you heard this before?
Yeah.
Okay. So my question, because you've been accountable in the conversation, so I'm curious to know, how do you receive when he's trying to correct or provide something that you may not like? How do you receive that?
I self-reflect. Like, I'm for real. Like, I really make you feel that way, or that's really what you see. Like, I do that. Like, I ask those questions in the midst of the conversation, because I'm like, that is so not what I mean. And I realize that I can do that. Like, I can be those things that he called me to be. And when he calls me out on it, I'm all for it. Like, ooh, tell me more so that I can get better. Like, that accountability piece for me was a huge part of my healing.
Yeah.
Because I promise you, like, I would look at somebody and be like, you said, let's make chat, please. Whatever, you can go somewhere else with that. But with Joaquin was just has always, when I tell you from day one, has always been so real with me about what he sees. He's like, nah, and don't try to. Like, and so I am always conscious about reflecting. I take what he's saying to me, I digest it, I spit out what doesn't belong, and then I go back and ask questions about, okay, how I want you to help me whenever I do this, or whenever I say that, or whenever I act a certain way. Call me out on it in the moment, and let me kind of reel myself back in the moment.
Yeah.
Well, how did you? Why? I guess I have a couple of different questions in my head. How has that helped you with the blending of the family?
The way that we handle our kids, that has helped us. The way they see us handle conflict, the way they see us handle like that heated fellowship, and how some things can get a little uncomfortable. And so it's like, okay, how do you handle that when you get into that heated fellowship, and it's something you may not want to hear, but it's real.
Yeah. My wife was the first person. She was the first female. I mean, I grew up in a large family, a lot of females. She was the first to challenge me in our marriage when we got into some heated fellowship. And this was in the rut of our marriage. And she said, let's go downstairs and apologize in front of the kids. I didn't understand what that meant. I was like, why do I got to go downstairs? No, we still. She was like, Joaquin, they hurt us. And in that moment, it was like, oh, we have to teach our kids that even in the midst of turmoil, you have to also be accountable and mature enough to apologize. I never saw apology in my household growing up. I never. So you'll come in, see some flowers, something like that. That must be the apology. No, all you saw was chaos and then nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
So for our kids to, and we would make sure we were in the room while we were talking to each other. And this is what I tell all men. In those days, God was working on me so much for my pride and everything that I would apologize even if I wasn't wrong. And I knew I wasn't wrong. And I told her, I said, if we're going to make this thing work, I'm not doing it for you. Yeah. I made vows to God. I said, God, I'm going to give this thing 110%. If it doesn't work, I can walk away with my head held high. Yeah. So when I would do these things, I was doing them to apologize and make her feel good. And she knew that. I would apologize because like, what part did I play in us get here?
And so I had to do the same thing. Like I was like, what could I have done different?
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have to end up here, but what could I have done different? What could I have said different? Or could I have just said it another way?
No, not at all.
You know, or again, not at all. You know, and so I have learned that though. I have learned how sometimes just don't say anything at all. And it's sometimes
and a lot of times
I'm okay with that.
She taught me something, and I tell people, my wife taught me how to be the husband I need to be for her, and to also the way she taught me, it gave me the platform to be the man and the husband I needed to be. But it also gave me an opportunity to humble myself. That was my choice.
That's good.
I'm telling you, it used to piss me off because I'm like, God, though, but I want to fight right now. She's.
And you know, I want to interject there. And you know how we will say, you know, you have so much grace for other people. You know, so grace for your spouse. Okay. And even sometimes for your kids, you don't have that grace for them. So I was an educator for 15 years. I just went back into education at the beginning of this year.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
And one of the things that
you said, I'm sorry for that.
I'm in early childhood, so I'm in early childhood. I am not in that.
I'm in middle school, so.
Oh yeah, you can have that.
I've taught at the collegiate level, but you know, God put me in a position here lately that I had to do middle school. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. I asked Joaquin when we sat down and talked about from a parenting perspective. I said, listen, we say that I'm sorry to each other. We say, yes, sir. We say, ma'am to each other. You know, we do that to each other. I said, we say, I'm sorry. We say, thank you. And we say, please. We don't do that to our kids. Too many people don't do that to their kids. I said, something that we have to implement into raising our kids is being able to say, thank you, I'm sorry, and please. Because we do it to everybody else, and it gives our kids the opportunity to understand mom and daddy don't always get it right. And there are times when we don't hear you, and sometimes it's intentional. But when we take it back, self-reflect, we can come back to you and say, listen, son, I apologize. I jumped the gun. I should have gotten more information about this. You know, please forgive me. Son, thank you. Or it was teaching them how to have that level of respect, not just for their elders or not just for us as parents, but for their siblings, for family members, for even their friends. And that's the way that you teach people how to treat you.
Yeah. No, that's good.
And if you don't get it back, you keep moving because they're not supposed to be in your life anyway.
Once again, that was Mandarin to me. She brought that to my attention.
Yeah, he was like, "What? I'm not doing that."
Kid, no, please, don't think you to do what I said you to do. Shoot.
That was good. I had to learn that too, because I can't remember if it ever happened to me. I was raised by my mom. I'm the oldest of three. My dad wasn't in my life. I knew where he was, but he wasn't in my life. And then I had my stepdad that really wasn't productive for me in the household. So learning how to be a husband or even learning how to be a man came from me going to college and being in a fraternity, and that wasn't necessarily the best way because these are college dudes, right? And so that's how I learned how to even treat women, right? I guess people would say finesse, so to speak, right? But at the same time, it also taught me confidence as well and how to hold the authority position, I guess, as a man, but I was not utilizing it in the manner in which it should be.
Yeah.
And not until I got into a really good church in where I was at did they teach us how to be men. And I got around other guys that were married. They were young married. Like there's one guy that I had met at the time. They're doing phenomenal right now, but he was like 20. I think he may have been like 21 and his wife was 23 or something like that. And they had been married since 19 and 20, right? 19, something like that. And so and then another guy that was similarly, they was young. And so and our pastor would talk to us about what it is to be married and be a husband, you know, and then transitioning that into where I'm at today. I'm still trying to figure out to make sure that I do apologize that piece, because the apology is something that you're trying to help them establish, because you're not going to be you're not perfect.
Yeah.
You remember Kirk Cameron
Yes.
from Good Pain?
Yeah.
Okay. So he was at our church that I went to a long time ago, and he said, you have to remember that you're raising somebody else's spouse. And so when he said that, I don't know how many years ago now, maybe 15 years ago, maybe something like that. It stayed on our minds. Me and my first wife, and then now me and Kendra, we're understanding that how we talk to our kids is important. How we develop them is important. And I had to apologize recently because I had, I had punished my son twice, right? And one of them was pretty harsh. And she told me, she was like, yeah, what you did wasn't right. I was like, man, whatever. All right. I was like, but he's a repeated offender. And she's like, maybe so, but like what you did, that you can't do that. That's not good. And she's not speaking in the nice words that I'm saying. I'm just giving you the clean version, so to speak. And so I prayed on that, and the Holy Spirit literally told me, like, you need to go with Ethan. Ethan is my youngest son, and take him with you. Talk to him about what it is, what's his mindset, what is he thinking. And then I came to a point where I said to him, I said, do you think Daddy was harsh on you on your punishment? And he said, yes, on the second part, I do think so. And I said, well, I want to apologize for that. I was wrong in what I did. And you should see his body language. His body language changed. Mm-hmm. And so that just to go to say that a person, a kid hearing their dad or mom apologize goes a long way. Yeah. So I appreciate y'all that stating that for sure.
Yeah. But especially as a father.
Yeah. Oh, okay. For sure.
Especially as a father.
Yeah.
It's a long way. It has gone a long way with our kids as well.
You can think about it. You hear women saying, I'm sorry all the time. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You rarely hear men just, and it was hard. It was difficult for me to apologize because, I'm willing to say I'm right, but it was difficult.
That's what you used to always feel. Everybody else wrong. You right.
I didn't feel like, I felt my opinion was right because that's
very
how I felt.
Strong, right?
So I used to.
That's funny, Joaquin. Just one moment.
Hold on. What you say?
You're trying to figure out how she can be wrong.
No, I wasn't trying to figure out how she can be wrong.
No, because what you just said. You heard it when you say.
Look, he would say how he was apologize. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings.
No.
I'm sorry what I said hurt your feelings. I'm sorry that you took it that way.
sorry what you
All the wrong ways.
All the wrong way. I'm like, you could have kept that.
You need to listen a little different. Than
No, nobody need to listen a little different. You need to say it a little different. A mess.
Yeah, but I swear to know my wife, you'd have to know her background and what she had been through, and you may call me arrogant, but my wife was conceited.
I didn't call you arrogant, bro.
No, I'm just saying her.
He said your wife.
Okay. I
use that word conceited because my best friend.
Said I was projecting.
Yeah, you projecting conceited. My best friend, she called me conceited. That was in college, sitting beside me one day. That was my first time ever hearing conceited. And I jokingly told my professor, I'm like, she just cussed me out. I don't know what that means. And my professor was like, she called you conceited. And he told me what conceited meant. And I was like, I ain't conceited. And the whole class was like, I was like, what? So what? Mm-hmm. I'm just comforting myself. But, to know my wife, you'd have to understand the background she comes from. And if you give her the inkling to walk over you and run over you because of what was in her, DNA-wise, genetically, she would do it. And that's what she did. One thing I would tell you about, you're a man of knowledge and know this. One thing men that don't come from a strong family of marriage and structure, we know how to be one thing in the streets. We really don't want to be that. We're struggling to be something else. Then when we get an opportunity to become that, sometimes we try to become that so much we lose our footing as just being the man. Mm. And that's how we slip up, and now your wife don't really see you as that. And that's the transition that I had to flip my switch back to when we were going through almost going through divorce. And I was like, you know what? Forget all this trying to make you happy. Let's put the marriage first. I ain't worried about making you happy. Let's make this marriage happy. If we make this marriage whole, we'll both be okay. Wow. And it was at that point she started getting back the more raw Joaquin. Now, I'm not trying to be your husband anymore. I'm already there. We've already established that. We're not going to let this structure go.
Wow. So what I hear is that you saw the alignment off.
Oh, yes.
And you said, I need to go ahead and put myself in the position that God has said that I'm supposed to be, whether she likes it or not.
Period.
And Miss Stacy, when you seen this or heard this, what was your disposition?
Okay, I guess.
So it was reluctant, or it was, since you said it, like, what, can you put some words to that for me?
Yeah, I can. It was
reluctant's a good word.
It was I was reluctant. Mm-hmm. However, I was willing to make that transition, but I knew that it wasn't just necessarily going to be because he had found his footing. It was like, this is what I'm standing on. It was truly because my relationship with Christ had completely shifted.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was,
That's really what it was. Because I had to understand God's word and what it meant for me as a wife and what I needed to be to this man. And everything that he was saying was aligning to that. So it was confirming that God's word is exactly what he is calling me to be, is exactly what this man needs me to be for him.
If she would not have found her relationship with Christ and saw my position and did my position, she's never seen a position like that before.
Yeah, I never would have fallen for that had I not gotten that relationship with Christ together first.
Man, okay. I have questions on what I have over here, but then when y'all give me a story, my mind thinks of other things, because I think people need to hear the importance of going to the book. right?
And to that, that's what total surrender is all about. That's what my book is all about. I can't find the link. I would have to go to Amazon. It's on Amazon though.
Okay. So can you type it in the chat, or
yeah,
at least the name of it? Because that part, I think, for me, I think sometimes I struggle with that part of how strong of my personality needs to be when I'm giving instruction or when I'm trying to deliver a message, right? And so that is very good. I think what you just said though, Joaquin, is regardless of how she may feel about it, if God told me to do it, then she gonna have to deal with him.
Yep. And
And
you got
that's good.
And I tell man and woman to stand on that too, because I had to be obedient to Christ. It wasn't that I was being obedient to Joaquin and allowing him to control me and to quote unquote change me or anything. So when I come from a place of, you women really need to check yourself on how you speak to these men, how you treat these men and everything. It's simply because of how I had to align to the word of God and what God said I was as a woman, as a wife, as a mom, as a friend. So all of that came into, I had to encompass all of that into who I was becoming as I was becoming his wife as well.
And could you imagine, also, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to come right to you. Could you imagine if we are being married and understanding that we are being watched by the young people, how people would begin to position themselves in a relationship, and understanding that the word of God really is clear in how structure should happen, right? So me as a husband has to love her, meaning a part of that love is kind of recognizing how she ticks, right? It says live with her in according, right? Know the ins and outs about her, right? And then it also talks to the wife about being respectful to your husband, right? And a part of respect is the words, right? So if you go over into where it talks about the taming of the tongue, right? That's for men and women.
Yes.
However, I would say I liken it to this. I told my partner one day, I said, I think women don't understand. I'm gonna say all right, that verbal abuse is equivalent to physical abuse.
Yes.
So what I mean by that is that men shouldn't be putting their hands on a woman. Women shouldn't be putting their words on a man negatively, right? And I think that men understand. I hate to sound like it's women bashing, but I think men understand that they should not. There are men that do, right? But men don't respect men that do that.
Nope.
Right? Yeah. Men don't respect males that put their hands on women. However, on the flip side, I don't really hear, other than some women, talk about how, girl, you shouldn't have said that to him, right? When in actuality, the word of God is for both of us. We should be uplifting each other with our words.
Yeah.
So that's good. Go ahead, Ken, what you got?
Women really don't understand. A lot of women. And you're right. If the younger generation had more, I ain't even gonna say godly, just strong marriages. Godly marriages on top of that is just 10 times better. To watch them operate in a healthy way, it makes it so much better, because women don't realize when they say things like, "Why would you do that? That was stupid." Well, if my daddy would have done this, or I should have stayed with her. All those things. How do you feel make that man feel? But because this is the thing, from the time women are of a certain age, what are they getting? Accolades. You're beautiful. You're this. You're fine. You're this. They can walk out with some scrubs on. Ooh, she fine. I walk in there with some jogging pants on. Girl, look, he can't. He feels
men in jogging pants nowadays. I didn't when I met you.
You sure did. But this is the thing. Even the jogging pants, you got to be of a certain stature. Let you walk in there and be 5'6". You can be the richest man in the world. They don't know who you are because you're in jogging pants. But a broke joker standing beside them is 6'2", waves in hair and stuff like that's who you think look at.
So how do y'all teach your like? Because how are you teaching your sons? See, because y'all have daughters that are older, right?
Mhm.
So how are they in selecting men?
Horrible.
Do you think that's a result of you? I didn't say which you.
Yeah, I'll direct and go you.
That was awesome.
I told you.
I was ready. Yeah, I just want to help you out, Humbledad.
Tell you, Miss Stacey,
What?
do you agree with that statement? Or?
Wholeheartedly.
Okay.
Wholeheartedly.
They
I feel-
the
Yeah,
complete opposite of me.
complete opposite of their dad.
I'm
But
like,
and it's funny because our youngest daughter, she wants this.
Yeah.
Like we know she wants this, and I'm like, baby girl, you don't have to settle. She's the one with the child.
Okay.
And I'm like, but I think that she's coming around to
is.
really seeing herself differently and knowing that she does not have to make a life with this guy that she has the baby with,
Mhm.
and and all this kind of stuff. But anyway,
old is
I am a direct reflection of what the girls have walked through in relationships over the past few years.
Wow.
Direct.
And
And
this generation,
the boys, it is
Yeah,
very
it's
generational.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, like I thought I broke that mold, like I broke that generational curse, and my kids, my girls are experiencing that. The boys, on the other hand, we won't have that problem.
No, we got to pull them back.
We will not have that problem. They are going to be; those are going to be some committed. They're going to be some amazing husbands.
We'll be too committed.
Yeah, they're the women they choose.
And I'm explaining myself.
They gonna have to be, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm saying my boys will be too committed because all they've ever seen is me pamper their mom.
Okay.
They don't have the.
They're gonna have to find balance.
They're definitely gonna have to find that
Mhm.
sweet spot where they have to say no and put their foot down and be
Mhm.
okay with it.
Yeah.
They don't see that.
That's a tough space.
It is.
It's a tough space. Yeah, that's a very good point. How do y'all talk to them about that? But
Yes.
I mean, 15 and 12. So
Yeah.
you know,
Oh,
We
we
do.
talk to them about it.
We do. We still talk to them
So
about
you know,
that.
there are times, the other times that I can hear Stacey telling them, "Daddy told me no." The conversation.
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh, we had a conversation, and their dad asked them like, "Does your mom need?" And they was like, "No, my mom don't need nothing.
No, she don't need nothing.
Mama needs nothing." It was shocked me.
Yeah, she was upset.
shocked me that they were willing to say, "You need nothing else." Like I was like, "Are you serious?" And they were like, "No." They were like, "If anything, Dad needs to get what he wants." And I was like, "Your dad gets whatever he wants. All he has to do is ask
And
for
they
it."
were
I
like,
said, "He just don't ask
they
for
were like,
nothing."
they were like, no.
Yes, he does. But they will tell you in a heartbeat. Like my mom gets any and everything she wants.
wow.
My kids have a motto, and my daughters will be like they scream it from the mountaintops. What Stacey wants, Stacey gets.
That's what's up. That's dope. That that they have a father that is showering their mother.
Mhm.
Because they get to see what a husband is supposed to be inside of a marriage, and that's the reason why I do these type of shows, and what I've been standing on about how important it is for people to get marriage right and to be able to share with other people that people are out here doing the work as it relates to being married. It's just your algorithm.
Yeah.
So, yes. So that's what I would piggyback on what you just said. My wife gets what she gets pretty much, not everything, but she gets a lot of what she wants now because she's earned it.
Right.
She didn't deserve this year 1 through 5.
Right.
Because neither would I deserve anything that I get now 1 through 5. We were still learning how to be husband and wife.
How to be husband and wife. And
we're not proving anything. So many people get married and they were like, well, if you could fix, look, people, if you want to be treated like a trick or treated like a whatever, stay single and keep, doing what you do. But to be with a man, you have to build to see if I can even trust you.
Yeah, that we can build this.
Are you an investment? Or you?
Yeah. Are you an asset or a liability? Can we build this together? Can I trust you to build this and that? It is going to. I'm telling you, he took a chance on me, and I was nothing but potential, just as well as he was nothing but potential when we met each other. But I guaranteed that even after we struggled, and we didn't necessarily have to struggle, we struggled because of me. I made sure Joaquin was going to win. I made sure that I was going to do whatever it took for this man to win.
And I don't let her take the full blunt of that. She struggled because of us. It was a we thing. Mm-hmm. Because look, I think because of my my confidence in myself. Your
arrogance. Go ahead.
Some of the things that I even saw in her, sometimes people believe that won't happen to them.
Yeah.
Or it's I see it, but nah. And when I saw it, I could look back on things and I was like, I saw that. I just don't.
But I'll say this, I appreciated that though, because I think that's why my second marriage failed. It's because he couldn't see past that. So therefore, I would have always stayed that girl. I would have always stayed that had you not seen me beyond that.
What have I always told you?
What you tell me about?
Because of how could I easily see beyond you?
How could you easily see beyond? Because we didn't know each other.
Not only that.
Oh, go ahead.
Who am I to judge?
Oh yeah, who are you to judge? Yeah, that's right. He used to always say that. Who am I to judge you for, your past?
First of all,
and those things.
She lied to me, the first.
We ain't got
day.
to go there. He ain't asked you all
but
that.
It just goes with it.
Oh my gosh.
She asked me. I said,
I
first of all, this is a little tidbit.
You asked me mine.
I did. I'm getting to that. So
wow, that was an actual question.
Yeah.
We talk about these in the street, so to speak, on the podcast. That's pretty phenomenal that you did.
I asked this question. We used to sit down and have like a 10-question list. Let's go down.
Okay.
From STDs, everything.
Yeah.
If you get offended because someone is asking you your medical history because we want to make sure we're both safe, something's wrong with you.
Right.
That's not a me. That's a red flag for me. So that's a red flag for me to be like, you know what, go about your business.
Yeah.
But I asked her, I said, how many men have you?
11.
And this joker said 11. I said, you've been proposed to 10 times. So when I met you, you've been proposed to 10 times. So what the hell is 11? And I'm gonna believe that I'm Boo Boo the Fool.
Just a little.
Yeah, I'm Boo Boo the Fool. You see your face? That's what I was like. I said,
I told you I had a gift, okay?
and now you see the men that were falling for that gift, they were Boo Boo the Fools.
They were Boo Boo.
Yeah, they were Boo Boo the Fools. And they wanted one thing.
But she said that's what she wanted in the beginning too, though.
Yeah, that's exactly what we wanted in the beginning.
Let's be real. So if that's what we know we want, why you lying? And she asked me, well, how many women you been with? I said, more than one, less than a million.
You said more than one?
Less than a million. More than one, but less than a million.
Yeah. Wow.
I said, damn, I wish I wouldn't know how to answer that question like that.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. What's crazy is that he's had more.
No. When I say crazy, that means funny to me. It doesn't mean.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I get in trouble for saying that's crazy too with my wife sometimes.
Oh.
I was like, no, that's my slang for, that's mind-boggling, or that's not something that I can even.
Yeah.
It's not to say that you are. That's and being a school teacher, I say it so regularly.
Yeah.
It's a part of me, but for sure, this has been a phenomenal show. I really appreciate that that y'all made it what it is. What do y'all want to say before we head out of here?
Marriage is worth it. It's worth every tear. It's worth every laugh. It's worth every, I don't know. It's worth every, like, dang, do I want to? Do I not? But it's worth the work that you put into it as well. When you get to the other side of it, you'll understand that this was worth every minute that it took for us to get here.
That's what's up.
I would say marriage will be defined by the person and yourself that you choose to make that union with. You can either set a new definition of what marriage is in your family, or you can fall in line. However that may look.
That's what's up. Where can people reach y'all? Do they want to contact you or want to see what y'all got going on?
They can see what we have going on our Beyond Words Christian Therapy Bar page on Facebook. They can reach us on TikTok. They can also reach us at blendedandwinning@gmail.com or even on Instagram at blended_and_winning.
That's what's up. Well, I appreciate y'all. If y'all want to stay in the back or go, whatever, it's cool with me. This has been a dope show. And obviously it's sponsored by Glenn's Houses. Once again, if you need a realtor,
Yeah.
let me know. And I'll take care of you and or whoever it is. I appreciate y'all. This is another episode of Humble Dad. You know what it is. We out here. Until next time. Deuces.
The boy is dangerous.
Bad feeling about this.
You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world.